What's up everyone, it's me your boy Willow, and today we're... Hang on a sec, I know I do my video with this background, but now this is not the right background for the video. Wait, let me clap my hands so I can do a super cool transition. Hey, it worked! And now I'm a Pokemon trainer! And yes, this video will talk about Pokemons. I love Pokemon, everyone loves Pokemon, barely everyone loves Pokemon. But I'm not gonna talk about Pokemons alone. I'm here with my friend, my buddy, my best trainer in the whole world, Matt. Matt, are you still there?
Wait, we're live? I'm Matt. We're drawing hentai today.
Matt, it's a Pokemon video. I told you 69 times already.
Oh yeah, Pokemon. I can do that. Just let me get into something more appropriate for the situation. Bam, Pokemon outfit. I swear I'm not wearing this skirt.
Anyway, back on track. Matt and I are gonna review all of our Pokemon games that we played so far. In my case, I'll be reviewing Pokemon Red, Pokemon Gold, and also Pokemon Diamond.
As for my case, I'll be reviewing Pokemon Sun and Moon and the mechanics of Pokemon Diamond and Pearl.
And so, what are we waiting for? Let's jump right to it, shall we?
Pokemon Sun and Moon is probably my favorite Pokemon game, but that's because it's the Pokemon game that got me into the series in the first place. I had played Pokemon X and Y before, but I never really got into it. Let's begin this mini review with the plot. Sun and Moon didn't do anything special in terms of storyline, but it was slightly different from other games. First of all, in this game, you're in a completely new region. Now, that's pretty usual for a Pokemon game, but for this game, they went and made the new region something exotic. See, this game is not just another region. In Pokemon Sun and Moon, you find yourself in the new region of Alola, a region separated into 4 islands based on Hawaii. Also, gyms are gone, but they're replaced by island trials, which aren't that special to be honest, but I like the change. There are 7 island trials in total, and instead of fighting the trial captain to get the badge, you have to fight a buffed up Pokemon. But from what I remember, they're pretty easy. Talking of Pokemon, this game has the most Pokemon. Actually, it has over 800 Pokemon, which is pretty crazy to think about, but then you realize it's the last game before the Dexit. It also introduced Mimikyu, which is, and always be, the best Pokemon ever. I just want to hug the little guy. He's so adorable. They also switched up the old Pokemons for Alolan versions, which, it's kind of neat. Doesn't do much, but it's neat. Okay, now for the gameplay. Now, I don't know the general opinion of this game, but I think it's the most accessible in terms of strategy. The reason why I think this is the most strategy-oriented, accessible game of the series is because it's really hard to get into strategy in other Pokemon games, and to be honest, it's my favorite part of the series, so I don't get why. Seeing how you can make a Pokemon the best it can be, it's my favorite thing. I currently have a quote-unquote perfect Mimikyu, and making him was slow, tedious, probably the most annoying thing I had to ever do ever, but god, is it so rewarding to see him in battle. Now, I won't get too deep into IV, EVs, and EVs, but to put it in a way that makes sense, in Pokemon, you have this secret mechanic called IVs, where each Pokemon gets a random stat boost to any of their stats. So you might have 2 Pikachus, but they won't have the same stats. Like, this one has a slightly better defense, and this one has a slightly bigger dick, but you don't really know that, so you kinda had to guess. Except that in Sun and Moon, you do know that, because after beating the league, you can now see the IVs of your Pokemon, which is a new thing for the series. This doesn't actually make the process any easier, but it does make it more accessible. And actually, Pokemon Sword and Shield improves on that by making the whole process super quick. But like I said, I won't get too deep into that. Oh, also, Z-moves. They exist. I know the mechanic was pretty well received, but I didn't care much for it. So overall, I think Pokemon Sun and Moon was a breath of fresh air for the Pokemon series, and probably one of the best entries in the series. Now, it's not perfect, don't get me wrong. All Pokemon games are flawed in some way. Sun and Moon has the most meh campaign I've played in a Pokemon game. The story is about this girl and you follow her and I don't care anymore. Listen, I know the Pokemon series got a lot of criticism for using the same story over and over again, but this is really boring. Not worse, just uninteresting. But to make up for that, the game has Guzma, which is the best character in all of Pokemon history. Fight me. So I'd give Pokemon Sun and Moon an 8 out of 10. Probably not one of the best games to start with, but a great game if you've played the older ones and you'd like something new.
Pokemon Red and Blue is the very first Pokemon game that revolutionized the whole new world of gaming. It was so goddamn popular that there was cards, animated movies, animated series, etc. Okay, enough with the nostalgia and let's go on to the gameplay. Pokemon Red is really inspired by the Final Fantasy series. But instead you recruit members in your party totally like in Final Fantasy. You gotta catch all the Pokemons who were in the game. But after you pick the Pokemons that's what your heart desires, you gotta level them up and they're gonna need to fight in gyms. And if you defeat a gym, you get a badge. Badges are made to advance more in the game. And if you have all the badges, you are a Pokemon Master. Which is, don't get me wrong, a really unique mechanic in the game. But the game had a lot of default, even though it's the first Pokemon game. First of all, the game didn't have a lot of Pokemons. Only 100 Pokemons that you can collect. Which is pretty understandable cause the Game Boy didn't have a lot of storage, so they didn't have a lot of details. So it means that they had to cancel a lot of Pokemons in the game. Speaking of Pokemons, battles! Which is the best mechanic of the game. But there's two problems. The first problem is the controls are really hard to use. I mean, the thing is that the enemy have much better luck than you, so there's a lot of chance that you lose. And the second problem is the theme song of the battle is loud and fucking anxious. Just listen to this motherfucking atrocity. I told you it was really loud and also it's really stressful, am I right? Okay, back on track. So, basically, the game is pretty fun and all, but the thing is that you get lost pretty easily. One time I was entering in a cave and then there was a Pokemart next to the cave and I was like, I have a lot of Pokeballs, I'm good. And when I exit the cave, I was like, oh okay I made it, but there's a lot of lakes. So I was like, oh it's okay, I have a Squirtle, he can swim, no big deal. I just found out that he cannot swim, so I was like, okay, what should I do now? So I went to Google to find out what was the problem. And in Google, it says you gotta go in the Pokemart who was next to the cave so you can buy a Magikarp who can actually swim. I know it's really frustrating by hearing this, but at the time we had Nintendo Power, which is pretty helpful. It can give you hints and where do you need to go in Pokemon. But even though it's the first game, there was a lot of good things about it. Like the bosses and the gyms are pretty cool. You can even fight versus the two friends of Ash Ketchum. You can fight versus Brock and even Misty. It's pretty fucking cool. I also talk about the stressful combat music from earlier. Like, if we don't count the battle song, the soundtrack is so fucking amazing. Just listen to this. they're great nostalgia. Totally like when kids at school didn't stop saying at us that Mew was in the truck in Pokemon Red and you need to push the truck to get Mew, but it was a fucking lie. So I give Pokemon Red a 7.5 out of 10. Yeah, I know it's not really a great rating, but I think I gotta be honest. Even though it's the best Pokemon game that ever existed, there's a lot of defaults, but it's also the best Pokemon game that you can start the series with. Okay, this Pokemon game have a really big story about it. Back in the days in 2015, it means I was in 5th grade, I was a huge Pokemon nerd. I had a 300 Pokemon cards. Here's a picture for proof. I've been bullied for this, but anyway. But back then the most popular Pokemon games were Pokemon Black and White and also Pokemon Omega Ruby, which is a remaster of the game Pokemon Ruby on Game Boy Advance. Even though I didn't have enough money to buy a 3DS, and because that the Nintendo 3DS almost died out, I bought a Game Boy Color instead. And I was expecting to buy Pokemon Red, but instead I just saw a shiny and gold cartridge with the name of Gold on it. And so I bought it and started playing it. And that intro, oh my god. It's so beautiful! Anyway, this Pokemon game is better than the original. It means Pokemon Red. You can even do more stuff than the original. It's so sick! But I mean, the story is like the same like in every Pokemon games. You are Ethan, a little boy who lives in the region of Johto. And like, totally like Red in the previous Pokemon game, you want to be the Pokemon Master. And this Pokemon game had more Pokemons than the original. It means there's at least 200 Pokemons, which is quite a lot, but it's neat. And also the game introduces you the most cutest Pokemon in the whole world, Pichu. He's so fucking adorable than Pikachu and Raichu combined. Like, he can defeat these fucking Pokemons. But in Smash, he's a fucking beast. Also, the game added Parks, which is pretty helpful to catch Pokemon really faster. You can catch rock Pokemons and also leaves Pokemon. And you might think that you're just gonna start the game by picking your first Pokemon and getting your Pokédex and that's it, that's all. But no. The beginning of the game is slow and also really long. Just like my pee-pee. Okay, you just start up totally like in Pokemon Red. You wake up and then catch your first Pokemon, that's it, that's all. And then you gotta go almost all the way in the map to meet Oak to get the Pokédex. And I'm not done. After that, you gotta go return to the laboratory where you got your first Pokemon. Like that, the doctor gonna give you the Pokeballs. And after this, you gotta do the tutorial how to catch a Pokemon. And that took me about 1 hour to do. Remember the old stressful music from Pokemon Red? Well, now in Pokemon Gold, they fixed the music and it's less stressful. Just listen to this. See? Am I right? Huh? But also I don't want to get too deep with the temples in the game. In the middle of the game, you will enter in a temple where there's unknown Pokemons. Unknown Pokemons are actually a puzzle in the game where each Pokemon represents a letter. Like, even though I was too young to understand this, I still don't understand this a little bit. So I give Pokemon Gold an excellent 9.8 out of 10. So if you're a retro gamer like me, I highly recommend you to get this game in your collection. So here we are, we've made it. Here's number 1 in the list.
Pokemon Diamond and Pearl is a solid overall experience if we're talking about mechanics. This game kind of revolutionized the series with its new features that have long since been a staple for the series, and some others that have never came back since. So let's just jump right into it. First of all, a huge addition to the game was a new way of categorizing attacks. In earlier generations, attacks were categorized as physical or special, depending on type. In Diamond and Pearl, this mechanic was completely revamped. Now, any attack from any type can be categorized as physical, special, or even status attacks, which was a pretty big deal at the time and has remained in the series since then. Another mechanic that was improved was the time mechanic from Gold and Silver. In this game, it makes a return, but instead of having 3 times a day, Diamond and Pearl has a whooping 5 time days. In the end, it's not really important because the game doesn't really take advantage of it most of the time, but the time mechanic is just a little cool mechanic the game has. That's all. One important mechanic that was introduced to the series was the Wi-Fi features, which were brand new at the time. You could trade, draw, battle, and even voice chat. You could voice chat in Pokemon? Why haven't they brought that back yet? Trading has never been easy since. People have to name their Pokemon to communicate, and you're telling me 10 years ago, you could just talk it out like normal people on a DS? Come on, Reggie, you're better than this. If we're talking about battles, this entry didn't really spice things up. They have refined a few things, but nothing too special. It's still solid like all the other installments before it. Oh, and also, can we talk about the music? I've been dying to tell you about the music. God, the music's so good. I love this music so much. I'm literally listening to it while I'm writing this script. If you're looking for some great music, check out the soundtrack for this game. Overall, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl are the most solid Pokemon games today. If you want to get into Pokemon, go play this one. You'll have a good time, I promise. And as for me, I haven't finished the game yet. I've played it on my channel for a bit, but then received a physical copy from one of my friends. Thanks, Alex.
Yeah, Matt, you're actually right. This game is fucking awesome, actually. Like, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl is actually the god of Pokemon games. If you say
Pokemon Diamond and Pearl is for boomers, I prefer Pokemon Sword and Shield instead, you fucking boomers.
you are seriously missing out something, kid. In past Pokemon games, you were fucking slow and it was really long. But now you can run, baby! Woo! And also, they've made fishing the best option of the game. And also, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl is actually the first Pokemon game that I really enjoyed a lot. So I give Pokemon Diamond and Pearl a big 10 out of 10. Well, Matt, that was a really fun video. I really love it. Thank you for coming.
I never want to do this again. Please never contact me.
Wait, what? Matt, it's not over yet. Please come back, play. Ah, fuck, he's gone. He always do that. Well, it's been 1 month. What the fuck happened? Yeah, sorry guys, it's been a long time, I know, but hey, I'm back. Since my quarantine was starting, I was really busy for writing the script for Charlotte's Life, and also an upcoming continue of a comic. And I'm still working on 3 new videos that will come out probably this month or in 2 months, but I don't know. In the beginning, I wanted to do this video with Alexander and Matt at the same time, and we were about to talk about all the Pokemon games, but it's going to be a long video. So Alex, if you see this, I wanna say I'm sorry. Probably I'm gonna do a second part, I don't know. But also I wanna say a huge thanks to Mat01 B, who helped me to make this video. He's really awesome, his videos are entertaining, go check him out. And I wanna say subscribe, click the notification bell, and I'll see you next week. Bye!